There we go. I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy to be back. What's going on, everyone? Charles Austin here, the human diet coach. And we're here for another wonderful, thriving Thursday. And today's topic, we're going to be talking brain health. Okay, brain health, brain health, brain health, real quick. So I I still do. Normally, I do these streams every single Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time, but it's been a while. I think the last time I was here might have been maybe 2 months ago. But anywho, I'm back. 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 I'm back, and it feels good. I had to do some changes. Anybody who does business knows you got to rebrand, you got to change sometimes, you got to flip up some things you had to do. And here I am. So, as always, most of the stuff is going to stay the same, baby. I'm going to stay the same. My wonderful intel is going to stay the same. And my wonderful, charming personality is going to stay the same. So, as always, if you like this channel, if you like this video, if you like anything that you've ever seen on my channel, subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. And make sure you turn notifications on so that you're always up to date with the latest content here on the channel so that we're here, so that when I'm here, you'll be here with me. So I would also like to say that this is a great opportunity for you each Thursday, um, to ask questions, Q&A at the end of every video. Okay, sometimes we have it, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we get questions, sometimes we don't. You can also enter questions into the comments. You can also enter questions by DMing me on Facebook, Instagram, or even X. And by the way, how do you follow me on those platforms? Well, just like it says right up here. Let's see, where's the hand? Right here. There we go. Go to my link tree. All right, has all of my links. But again, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter X at Human Diet Coach. Okay, just like right here. Okay. And so you can DM me and you can ask your questions and I can answer them live, or you can put them in the chat once you join the video, once you join the session live. So let's jump into this. I don't like to waste too much time. I'm watching my time. I got my, let's see. Yeah, I got my wonderful, I got rid of my face. I got my tea brewing over here because if you can't tell, I got a little Kermit the Frog going on because last week I was a little under the weather, like they like to say, maybe a little bit. I never used the S word. Okay, I never used the S word. It rhymes with wick. You know, but I never used the S word. But I was a little under weather, and this mucus is lingering. It's lingering, and it's still kind of in here. But at least my nose isn't red anymore. It was red a little while ago. So I have me some throat coat tea, um, brewing right here, or simmering, or what do they call it? Sifting? I don't know, whatever. And you have to sift that stuff for 10 minutes. So by 7:12, which is in about 6 minutes, you'll see me drinking my tea. But anyway, let's get to the point of today's video. And by the way, if you like my background, let me know. Among the other many things that I've been working on to get a little bit better with my streams. So you can't tell what's back there. Anyway, and let me know if you like my, let's see, where is it? There it is. Let me know if you like my new logo. Okay. It's right there. And if you don't, I don't care. I like it. But as it always goes, like your mom used to tell you, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. Okay? Don't say anything at all. But anywho, got something in my nose. Oh, wrong side. Here we go. Okay. But anyway, so again, the topic of today is brain health and what are the easiest ways to maintain good brain health. So the one of the easiest ones, y'all. One of the easiest ones is to stay, and this I'm gonna blow through some of the easy ones, and then I'm gonna focus on this list of things here at the end, which will be my main points here. But one of the best things you can do is stay active, right? Exercise, activity, because that's going to increase your pulse rate. You're going to increase your heart rate. It's going to improve your blood flow to the brain, and obviously inside your blood you have all of these things. You have hormones and you have nutrients, immune fighting cells, and so many different things going on inside your blood. So you want to get a lot of that stuff to your brain, okay? But one of the other things is it supports something that's called neuroplasticity, okay? Ooh, I did good with that. Neuroplasticity, okay? So it does support something called neuroplasticity. Let's see if I can get this out of the way. Ooh, thank you. So what is that? Some of y'all might be saying, well, what the heck is neuroplasticity? Okay, well, let me do my little screen share and then we'll talk about it here. Okay, so uh, so neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to form new neural connections, and helps you learn and adapt and do different things. So basically, inside your brain, you have these things called neurons, and what they do is they transmit information. Okay, and whenever you have more blood flow to your brain, more activity, more oxygen and things going to the brain on a regular basis, which is what we're talking about with the exercise, uh, you increase your brain's ability to form more of these connections via your neurons, right? So it helps you learn new things. It helps you remember things better, and just overall, it just keeps the brain healthy. All right. So the easier it is for your brain to have these connections, the healthier your neurons are in your brain, the healthier your nerves are in your brain, the better. All right. So the more you exercise, the more you're going to send all this blood and oxygen, all this good stuff into the brain. That's what you need to increase this neuroplasticity, which is super important for your brain. It also is going to reduce, obviously, every time you exercise, the more you exercise, it reduces your risk for things like hypertension and diabetes. But we'll get into that in just a second, as well. All right. Something else that's important is social connections. Right. So we're talking about family, friends, loved ones, romantic relationships, even if we're including pets, right? And plenty of information and plenty of research shows that um, folks that folks that have pets, or have or even sick individuals that deal with pets, and the interaction with pets, dogs, cats, whatever it is that you like, these things also help the brain, right? So one of the things it does is it prevents the feelings of isolation. Okay, and one of the things that isolation does is it helps to promote more depression feelings, right? So this is more of a mood enhancer, right? So a happy brain is a healthy brain. Okay, an isolated, depressed brain, not so healthy. So you want to make sure that sometimes you hang out, right? Hang out with your friends, hang out with your family. Okay, spend time with your children, spend time with your spouses, etc., your girlfriends, your boyfriends, whatever it is you call it. Hang out, spend time, and that will also help improve your overall cognitive health. All right. So the next thing on my list is eating a healthy diet, but we're going to save that for last. All right. I'm going to give you a list of the best foods that you can eat for healthy brains. Now, here's one little nugget that I want you to think about whenever you watch this video. And that nugget is the simple fact that if you or a loved one or someone is currently suffering from some type of dementia, right? And we know the most common form of dementia is Alzheimer's, right? So if you're suffering from any type of dementia, please know that all of the things that we're talking about here are ways to reverse dementia, right? You're not. This is not something you're going to see on TV. You're not going to see anybody talk about, "Hey, do you have dementia? Well, here's how you get rid of it." No, they're going to tell. They're going to sell you some type of drug. They're going to sell you some type of chemicals made in the lab, and that's not what you want, right? So all the stuff we're talking about, specifically these this nutrition list, keep that in mind. If you're somebody who's already suffering, right? You know, they have these early onset dementia, early stage dementia, and things like that. If you're somebody who knows you or a loved one is suffering from that, you should pay attention. Okay, the brain is the control center of the body, and without it functioning properly, you're going to struggle doing a lot of things, whether it's work, play, general happiness, just day to day tasks, starting your car, cooking a meal, things like that. You got to have your main muscle as healthy as possible. So we're going to come back to that one. The next thing on my list is to get quality sleep. Okay. You want to make sure you get quality sleep. Super important. Okay. So why do we need to make sure we get plenty of sleep? Well, first of all, how much sleep is that? I think I had a chart up here a second ago. Maybe did it go away? Yeah, it went away. But I think the chart said that if you're, obviously the little ones, the ones that cry a lot, the little itty bitty babies, they're so pretty, they're so cute, but they need a lot of sleep, 14, 15, 16, sometimes 18 hours a day they need to sleep, depending on how young they are. But as you age, as you get a little bit older, you get into your teenage, adult years and things like that, you really kind of get into that window where you need about 7 to 9 hours of sleep or so. So if you're getting less than 7 hours, and I normally tell folks that the bare minimum is going to be that 6 hour number. That's the bare minimum, and you shouldn't do that every day. But a few times a week if you have, that's the bare minimum. If you're less than that, you're gonna notice problems. You're gonna notice brain fog. You may notice headaches. You may notice weight gain, things like that. So you want to make sure you're getting plenty of sleep, right? And one of the main reasons you want to get plenty of sleep is because of this thing called the brain waste clearing system, right? So your body it accumulates waste throughout the day, throughout the weeks, depending on what you eat, depending on where you live, what you breathe, how often you change your air conditioner filter, etc. So there's many different things that will contribute to waste in the brain. And when you get the right type of sleep, quality sleep, long enough sleep, you're able to clear waste out of the brain. And that's a good thing. You want to make sure you do that regularly. Okay. So what was it? I lost my place here. Yeah. So when sleep is disrupted, your brain health suffers. So where was it? I was looking at earlier. So as you see, this is from the University of Rochester. And they studied the role of disrupted sleep, circadian rhythms, aging, high blood pressure, and other things, how it affects and reduces brain's ability to clear waste. All right. So again, if your sleep is disrupted, and this even bothers me sometimes. I hate when I wake up in the middle of the night and struggle getting back to sleep because I know about these things. Right. Also, high blood pressure, which we'll talk about in just a second. Right. These are all things that affect your ability to have your brain flush itself of the waste that it accumulates each day, because it does a lot of stuff. What you got to remember, uh, anything that uses energy, does a task, does anything, it's going to accumulate waste products, right? Think about your car. You put gas in the car, and you have the tailpipe that shoots out exhaust fumes. That's from the energy generation. So you got to remember, your brain builds up waste, your body builds up waste. We got to get that stuff out. And one of the best ways to do it is to get plenty of sleep. Okay. The next thing on my list here is managing cardiovascular health. And again, we're going to get to that. Is it time to get to that? Let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and get to that now. Right. Let's go ahead and get to that now. So when we say cardiovascular health, cardiovascular refers to your heart and lungs, right? And the way blood flows and the way oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange throughout the body. So I pulled up this image for y'all just to kind of give you an idea of, and this is just an illustration, but the point is your brain has so many blood vessels, okay? So many blood vessels delivering blood and nutrients and oxygen and all that stuff to it all the time, right? So when we say we want to make sure the first thing I told y'all about was making sure that we exercise. But the other thing we talked about just now was managing your cardiovascular health. Okay, so that's going to include things like maintaining a healthy blood pressure, maintaining healthy cholesterol, maintaining healthy blood sugar. It also includes maintaining a healthy weight, but I'm not going to talk about that too much because all of this stuff is kind of related. So as you see, you need to have you need these all of these places. You can see how you have the thicker blood vessels in here, and then they kind of branch out to smaller ones, and then they branch out to even smaller ones. It just depends on what part of the brain is active. It depends on what part of the brain needs a lot of energy, lots of oxygen, whatever. So you're going to have different sized blood vessels and things like that. So this is a great image to kind of show you why it's important to make sure that your cardiovascular health is top notch. Okay, so again, we're talking about having a healthy blood pressure, healthy blood sugar, healthy cholesterol. Okay, so as you can see in the image, all of these blood vessels in your brain, and these things are throughout the body, but again, we're talking about the brain today. These blood vessels are like these blood vessels on your brain are like little tubes. Ooh, I can drink my tea now. All right. But they're like little tubes. Okay? You know, if you go outside, you go in your front yard, your backyard, or wherever you keep your garden hose, um, you'll notice that your garden hose is kind of like a tube. Well, it is a tube, and it shoots water in and out of it all the time. So you want to make sure that those tubes are free for flow. All right, when the tubes are free for flow, the blood can go through without a problem. Okay, so again, the more you exercise, the more you maintain good cardiovascular health, the easier it is to send the oxygen and the nutrients and all the information, hormones and things like that that has to travel through blood, travel through arteries. But when you start based on your lifestyle, which like I said, we're going to do our top 10 foods here in just a second. Depending on your lifestyle, as you continue to eat the wrong type of foods, and if you've been on my channel ever, um, you'll notice that the right type of foods don't include anything that has eyes, or a mom. If it has eyes or a mom, you're gonna want to run from that. Ooh, man, that's good. It got licorice in it. Licorice. I don't know if anybody out there likes licorice, but it's like my throat tea has some mullein leaf in there, and I've been trying to get this mucus out. So, cheers. But anyway, not focusing too much on diet, but the point is, you got to make sure that you are keeping your arteries clear, because your brain, again, if I show this image again, think about all of these blood vessels in your brain, okay, being clogged up like this, okay? This is where we get into problems with dementia, right? I talked about dementia earlier. People don't realize it, but one of the reasons why people develop dementia is because they lack blood flow to the brain. It's really simple. That's one of the reasons. There's many reasons. So you want to make sure you keep those blood vessels clear. And you want to make sure. And so when you have blood vessels that look like this or look like this, it's going to raise your blood pressure. Your blood pressure is going to go up. Your heart's going to have to work harder because you have less room for the blood to move. So you got to keep those blood vessels clear. Otherwise, you're going to have problems circulating the important blood to your brain, right? So the other thing that I talked about was the blood sugar, right? So sticking with these arteries and these blood vessels, you can see we have three images here. Okay. And you can see on the left over here, we have low blood glucose, then we have normal. And, basically this is a picture of, a blood vessel just like we saw here. All right. These are zoomed in of all of these things that's in your brain. Okay, and they just kind of did a cross section. It's like you cut it in half or cut it, sliced it. So the discs that are kind of the dark red, those are like red blood cells, and the little yellow discs, those are supposed to represent blood glucose, commonly called blood sugar. Okay, so when folks are diabetic, type 2 diabetic, right, and they're getting into this hyperglycemia or just high blood sugar, like, oh, my sugar's up. You probably heard somebody that's going to watch this video has somebody in their family, and I can raise my hand. My grandmother died of diabetes. Okay, so these things are normally close to some people. So when you're dealing with this situation where you have so much blood glucose in your bloodstream, this becomes problematic for the brain, right? So I just went over to AI and I just asked it real quick. Why is I worded it a little bit differently than I should have, but why is hyperglycemia bad for the brain, right? Well, it's really simple. It'll trigger things like brain fog, right? And this comes from these things called cytokines. Now, cytokines are part of your immune system. They respond to they're supposed to promote inflammation when you need it, because not all inflammation is bad. Some, you need inflammation, and what inflammation is just when you have an injury or you have a problem, your body will send signals via cytokines, right? It's crazy how many different little things we have going on in our body, which is why I teach human anatomy and physiology. Favorite thing ever to teach, right? But so much things. So they'll send cytokines to areas where it needs a bunch of white blood cells and nutrition and stuff, or whatever it needs to fix the problem, right? But when you have too much activity, we have a problem, right? So as it says here, too much information disrupts neuron. We talked about neurons a second ago. It'll disrupt the neuron behavior, and then you'll start having this thing called brain fog, right? You also had to deal with oxidative stress, and oxidative stress is something that happens to everybody. Everybody deals with oxidative stress. For some reason, we need oxygen, right? We need oxygen to generate energy for our bodies, but oxygen also is bad for our cells. It's crazy how that works. But the cool thing is when you eat foods with antioxidants, plant foods, uh, they combat oxidative stress. Okay, but as it says here, um, these molecules bounce around and damage the cells. You don't want brain cells being damaged. That's going to be a problem. Okay, and then over time, it's going to contribute to premature. Look at this. Okay, premature aging of the brain. So everybody's so concerned with staying youthful with their face appearance. You got everybody doing plastic surgery, cutting this, Botox that, yada, 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 but they're not focused on what they're doing internally with their body. They're not focused on what they're putting in their body and how they're aging their brain. So you got to be careful with that. And this is, again, we're talking about too much blood sugar, right? So when you like to have your Coke every morning, your coffee with sugar, you got to put sugar in everything. Like, for example, this tea right here, straight, no sugar. No sugar. And I like to be able to taste the flavors. Okay. Um, Brain shrinkage. This is just talking about your brain getting smaller. And then again, if your blood sugar is constantly high, the brain's insulin receptors can become desensitized. So your brain does have receptors for insulin, and insulin, of course, if you don't know, is the hormone secreted by the pancreas, which allows your body to take energy into your cells, right? You have all these cells throughout your body, trillions, trillions, and trillions, and billions, and millions, and gajillions of cells, and they all need energy. So insulin helps deliver energy into these cells. But if you have a problem with that in your brain's not going to get energy. That's a problem, okay? And you're going to be starving your brain out. So again, we could go on and on about this. I don't want to be too long. But the point is, you got to make sure you maintain your cardiovascular health, good blood pressure, good cholesterol, good blood sugar. Another thing on the list here, y'all, is to make sure that you regularly engage in cognitive training. Like one of the things I like to do is if I go to the gym and maybe I ride the bike, or if I walk on the treadmill, or even just walking around the neighborhood or something, I like to play Tetris, right? Or I'll play like word finder, word searches, and things like that. Because not only am I getting the blood flow to the brain benefit from the exercise, but now I'm actually challenging my brain. So you want to make sure that you read, right? Learn new things, learn a new language, okay? Like I said, strategy games, okay? Don't just sit there and play, play games that make you think, okay? One of my favorite games of all time is Resident Evil, okay? If there's anybody that loves Resident Evil, put it in the comments straight up. Tell me your favorite game. What is your favorite game that you ever played? Which one? Um, I know recently, but I know they recently made a Resident Evil 1. I think it's for PS4, PS5. I don't know if it was for one or both, but personally, the only Resident Evil that I never was able to beat was the very first one on PlayStation. This is way back in the day. I'm dating myself. And because I couldn't make it out of the mansion. So I'm definitely going to get that one and play it again. Okay. So other things on the list as we get ready to finish up with our top 10 list of the best foods to eat. Um, with our top 10 foods to eat, Super Mario. Is that really strategy though? I don't know. Super Mario's overrated. I'm more of a Sonic the Hedgehog kind of guy, but no big deal. Um, it also has avoid smoking and limit alcohol. We don't need to get into too many details on that. Everybody knows smoking's bad. Everybody knows alcohol's bad. And if it's bad already, it's going to be bad for the brain. Okay. Um, all right. Without further ado, let's see. Do I have my list ready? Let's see. Where is it? There we go. Let's see if I can move this conversation over here. There we go. Let's put this one over here so everybody can see. All righty. All right. So again, without further ado, Crash Bandicoot, get out of here. Let's see. All right, so here we go. Without further ado, here are the top 10 foods for brain health. Now, before I go over these real quick, right? Look, again, I just want to make sure you realize that this is not my data, okay? This data comes from Harvard School of Public Health, the National Institute on Aging, Cleveland Clinic, Johns Hopkins Medicine. So this is not my list. It's just the list that I was able to find. But anywho, we got blueberries. I talked a second ago about antioxidants. So you want to make sure that you are fighting oxidative stress for your to keep your cells healthy. So blueberries are great for that. As it says here, linked to improve memory and slower cognitive aging. So again, keep your brain young. One of the one of the foods that are always in my house, I keep them in my freezer, is frozen wild blueberries. Okay. And like my like my son, for example, he puts blueberries in his oatmeal all the time. My daughters do it too. And I like to put them in my oatmeal sometime. I prefer apples in my oatmeal, but if I'm out of apples, I'll do blueberries. Have them in my smoothies from time to time. There's not a week out of the year that ever goes by where I don't have blueberries, at least a few times a week. Leafy greens, okay. Again, we're talking about slowing cognitive decline. As we age, everything in our body gets worse. But how do we avoid this? By feeding it properly, okay? Walnuts. Now, this is like my favorite one. And real quick, what I want to do is, let's see, what I want to do is I want to pull up, let's see, oh, this look what they got on this page, this guy. Anyway, let's see. I want to walnut and brain. What I want to show you is that the walnut, strangely, it looks very similar to the brain. It's crazy, like how similar the walnut looks to the brain. If I can get that bigger, yeah. So what you'll notice with Mother Nature's foods is many of them resemble, not all, many of them resemble the body part that it actually helps. And so when you look at the image, the relationship is uncanny. As you can see, your brain has two sides. Look, the walnut is like split in half. So walnuts are one of the best brain foods. One of the best brain foods that you'll ever find. Look, the only nut with significant omega-3 fats. Okay. And I could do a whole video on ALA. All right, but not today. All right, so this stuff is super important for the brain. So eat it. Associated with better memory, learning, reduced inflammation. I eat walnuts every day, at least 5-6 days a week. Sometimes I have to force my children to eat them because they'll say things like, "Well, it tastes like soap or something." I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? Too good for you. Pumpkin seeds. Okay. Nerve signaling. Again, protecting against that oxidative stress that we already talked about. Turmeric. Okay. Turmeric has this ingredient right here. I'm not going to try to say it, which supports memory. As it says here, if you eat it with black pepper, it helps increase the absorption. Avocados, that's another one. Avocados are goated. Walnuts are goated. I mean, everything on this list, everything that comes from Mother Nature is goated, right? It's always goated. But anywho, avocados, healthy fats. Your brain has a lot of fat. Like, I'm curious, like, I forget the number. Let's see, what percent of the brain is fat? 60%. There you go. So there's a lot of fat in your brain. Okay, so the notion that we should be on low fat diets is crazy. Okay, that's crazy. We should not be talking about, oh, I need to lose weight. I need to reduce my fat, low fat. No, you need to get the right fat. Okay, that's the problem. You need to make sure you get the right fat. Okay, so avocados, super healthy fats. I wonder if we have avocados now. Man, when I get avocados in my house, they don't last long. Number one, they don't last long because, sometimes avocados, they kind of they'll turn on you sometimes, but everybody eats them up. Avocado toast. My children are like, God, what's my avocado toast? Avocado toast, avocado toast. Hey, I have no problem with that. Cruciferous vegetables, right? Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, things like that. Detox. We talked about sleep and getting rid of toxins and cleaning out the waste. Well, eat some broccoli, right? Eat some cauliflower, eat some Brussels sprouts. That'll help as well. Flax and chia. I don't know what I was thinking. For the longest, I hadn't had flax seeds in my house, and I recently found a nice French toast recipe, and I had to get some flax seeds, and it reminded me I need to have flax seeds in the house all the time. I always have chia seeds, I always have hemp seeds, but I forgot about flax seeds for some reason. So again, another source of omega-3 ALA. Super important for reducing inflammation in the brain. Dark chocolate, we're not talking about milk chocolate. Again, supports memory, blood flow to the brain. And last but not least, vitamin C rich foods to help prevent cognitive decline. So again, there's your top 10 list of foods, all right, for brain health. All right. Whew. All right, y'all. Well, that's gonna be it for today. I will be back here. I'll be back here on Thursday again with a new topic. If you have a topic that you want me to cover, again, DM me. Drop it in the comments. Okay, again, you can DM me. You can follow me Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, at Human Diet Coach. And you can also drop the comments on this video here and then just say, hey, I want to talk about this. Look, my hair looks like it's gray. That's crazy. See that back over there? Looks like I got gray hair. Oh, it's this side. Yeah, but I don't. Anywho. And I still remember, I wish the people, I had comments on some of my videos a while back, and people actually called me bald. It was so crazy. So I wish those people would come on this video and then call me bald. They're probably bald. You're welcome so much. They're probably bald. That's why they call me bald. But anywho, as you can see, I'm not. But all right, I'll get out of here. I will catch y'all next time on next Thursday. Um, as always, we'll be here every Thursday, unless I don't feel like it or unless something comes up. But I've been gone so long, I gotta get back on it. So I'll be back next Thursday, same time, same place. So again, follow me Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can go to my link tree right here. You can find all of my links. You can also get my book, The Toilet Book, on there, and my new book. I'm still haven't told y'all the title yet. I got the title. I'm waiting to finish all the details and things, and I'll start letting you know about that. My crown jewel, my newest book. I'll let you know about that when I get ready to tell you, which is still coming soon. I've been saying coming soon for a few months, but anybody who's ever worked on a project, they know how projects can be. So I'll be getting ready for that soon.